Previously on the blood-soaked rose.
So you're going to spend some time alchemical shopping?
1 component of ether, 2 of soul, and 1 of fulgum.
93 crowns for all your...
So I think she'll plonk that on the table.
I'll gladly take that in trade, yes. Do you mind telling me what it's for?
Fighting vampires.
Vampires in the city?
It won't be after you give me that oil.
This is not the kind of vampire that you may have been told as a young elf.
I have my red sash taking out of my pocket and wrapping around
You
my
are
leg.
in a rather fortunate situation for us where you have been trusted with that.
I absolutely carry petty coin.
Because you've just had your purse cut.
Careful, you might stab yourself. And throws her away.
She dashes off and is gone. High above the alleyway, a large red rose, dripping blood.
I'm going to move through the space as if I'm part of the
You
group.
hear a name whispered. Varley.
Varley.
Varley. It's an elf name.
The name that's whispered, is it whispered in terms of reverence or like as you might a leader or like an organizer?
Like an organizer, like a leader, like a figurehead, like
Yeah,
someone
okay.
who's gonna like, now there's enough of us.
Now that and Varley's plans or what
Varley's
Varley's
plans,
been
yeah.
talking about for the last 2 weeks or 1 week or
Yeah.
couple of days can finally start shifting.
It's gonna start, yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Well, then I will press the name Varley a tiny bit to interrogate a bit about not anything in particular, not about the plan, but about them as a person. What's their background? Who's vouching for them?
I should also note, just from Aurelius's perspective,
Yeah.
he has picked a spot well away that he can...
You can observe all of this.
Yeah, he's got it, like, he needs to protect you, so he's watching from a distance, he's got his, like, hood up, he's trying to be, like, unseen, and, like, basically not just yourself, more so the people that are around and close to you.
Great.
So you see Bryok pause at the head of the alley and adjust himself. Put his cloth on more prominently and kind of adjust his way of holding himself to seem like he belongs a little bit more. And it's quite effective. He goes from your friend, the affable merchant, to refugee. And then he starts to move through the alleyway, and you can advance as he moves down the alleyway and find a place to observe him.
He'll almost just kind of, like, lean, like, literally lean against a wall. Just find a spot of not someone that's watching, someone that is comfortable in his space.
And above you, to the right, is that blood-soaked rose. What's your education like?
It's good. That is 14.
Again, you recognize that it's a corruption of what once was the Order of the Flaming Rose.
Yes.
The Order of the Flaming Rose used to be here in Vizima, but they've been driven out. With 14, you can't quite recall what the circumstances of them being driven out was.
No, it's like it's something that obviously clicks in his memory and he goes...
Yes, but you might have to look it up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, but when he's not in this area where he's having to think about 20 different things,
Yes.
he can actually take time to actually ruminate on that effectively.
But you see Bryok insert himself amongst his fellow countrymen here, essentially. And he seems like he's not in danger at all.
No, it's shocking. Shocking.
He's transformed. He's in his element. And his ability to ingratiate himself with non-humans, with humans, is this very deferential thing. But it's not the only mode he knows. And you can see his mode here is one of camaraderie. And he is at first listening, and over the course of, the hour or so that you watch him, he gets closer to groups and even manages to converse with some. And
Bryok is taking, as he can, somewhat of a leadership role in groups as well. Bryok will start speaking in Elder Speech.
Good. Okay.
Speaking in native tongue.
Go on, Chris.
Go on then.
I wish. I truly wish.
He's going native.
Yeah. If I could, I absolutely would flex that muscle. I'm not good. So Bryok will begin speaking in Elder tongue, Elder Speech, and in an attempt at ingratiating himself even further, a kind of quality of I'm a little more that meets the eye, and we'll know that, a harkening back to like older times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of different reverences and stuff like that.
So you
Older conventions.
Yeah, so you begin to hear about Varley,
Yeah.
a headstrong elf with ties to the Scoia'tael. He's a veteran of the Vizima uprising, survived it. Up until recently, was living in the ghetto of Old Vizima.
Right, before being before it was abandoned.
Before it was abandoned and everyone poured into the city, right?
Yeah.
And he's been, starting something quietly. But soon, things will start to take a bit more concrete action.
Cool. I'll start leveraging the idea that I'd like to meet him. Varley.
Well. Okay, well, people... What you do manage is you find people who seem to be a bit closer to what might be happening. They're not on the peripheries of just being handed a red cloth.
Yeah.
They're closer to him.
Yeah.
Those kind of people, they don't just want words.
They want action.
They want action. So
Yeah.
if you want to meet Varley, you make sure you come
prepared.
Come 2 nights hence, you join in with our actions. You're brave and you're effective, then yeah, maybe you'll get to meet Varley.
Cool. The last thing I'll suss out before I leave this space, two things I'd like to do. One, I want to pull on the thread of Varley's elvish heritage.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of background, like that sort of like nobility and serfdom, an internal kind of like house system, is largely abandoned depending on where you are in the continent. Some have it though in their history.
Yeah.
Is there anything about that in terms of how they refer to Varley?
He has a little nobility to him, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's muddied now. People don't really know what exactly that means. Is he a prince, a minor noble?
Yeah.
He just there's whispers that he is, some people even say he must be.
Yeah.
Look at him.
The older heads would know and do the nod of like, yeah, it definitely carries himself.
He carries himself.
Certain words are pronounced that way, so therefore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. It's muddy, but people there's that aura about him.
Yeah.
And if you make one more streetwise for me.
Yeah. Sure thing.
This one's a difficult one.
It's not great, I gotta say. Is including that +2?
Yes.
That's 18.
Not enough for the last piece of information that you could have gotten.
You tease,
there is a little
Phil.
bit more to it. There's a little bit more
cool.
there.
That's very cool. That's all good. I'm going to use the last roll for me in this scene is to investigate the fight scene or the murder scene. See if there's blood still on the cobblestones or the dirt. See ambush points or that sort of thing. They said they rounded the corner. So I'm investigating there.
Yes, so you find it's about 30 meters or so from the entrance to the alleyway. You can find the scene of Reuben's grisly demise. There's some blood splashed about, and if you move some of the snow, you'll find some of the red coppery stain on the cobbles there. You need a very keen eye to surmise more than that, though. So if you want to make an awareness roll or just make note of it for when your witcher arrives with more monster knowledge.
Look, I'll attempt with a 13. It's not going to do much.
I would be keen to, from a distance, he would once to get to that area, start to investigate from afar.
So are you communicating at all, looking at one another?
No.
You do see Bryok crouch down in the snow. And he appears to have found the site of the attack.
Yeah.
From back here, you're not really aware of much. It's hard to see. Some of it is obscured by the snow itself.
Yeah, literally.
So you need to be closer to even kind of have a good look at it. But you can note in your mind pretty easily, Bryok has found where it happened.
Yeah. He would wait until Bryok went away.
Yeah, Bryok is going to look around. If a 13 doesn't reveal anything in particular,
just the blood.
It's blood there.
Yeah, this is where it happened.
That's the fight scene, or that's the scene of the murder, or the killing rather. And Bryok will leave the alley, passing Sir the Mage.
Yeah.
Yes. Passing Aurelius.
Passing Aurelius and moving past without saying anything.
Yeah. Aurelius he feels a lot safer. He feels as in safer for Bryok. Mm-hmm. Like watching him in his element there. Shockingly so, he could have gone here by himself and he would have been 100% fine.
Yeah.
Is the idea. And like Aurelius is the one that is like potentially
You're in more danger here than he is. Yeah.
So he waits legitimately a few minutes, so it's not a literally tag one in, one out to raise suspicion. Waits a few minutes, kind of looks around a few other places, and eventually walks towards the spot in question.
Okay.
And goes to have a closer inspection.
You're about 10 meters into the alleyway.
Yes.
When three, one's a woman, a female elf, and two male elves. They just kind of step out from their shelters, from leaning where they are, whittling or whatever they're doing, and they just stand up.
They just stand up?
They stand up and they put themselves in the street in front of you, and they just stand there and they look directly at you. They don't say anything, they just stand there and make themselves known to you.
Are they in the way of where I'm heading towards?
Yes, absolutely they are, yeah.
And is what's behind them a dead end, or is it how
it continues around, and you can get you get in and out the alleyway at either end. So you can walk past them and out back into the city, yeah. So it's not like a dead-end street. It's like a horseshoe almost, yeah.
What's called, Serpent?
Serpent, yeah. It winds through and out the other end, yeah.
And it's full of snakes.
Yeah. He'll not threateningly and not with a beeline. Like he'll walk forward to meet them, like eyeing them as he goes, and just kind of like trying to get a
hands
gauge
go
on
on to dagger hilts.
And
as they get closer,
he'll literally like have his hands out of his robe to show his free hands.
We strongly suggest that you turn around.
Is there an issue?
Yes.
And what would that be?
This is our place. You're not welcome here.
I understand that. I simply just need something answered for me.
We're not here to answer questions. This is our place, and we're keeping our people safe. Please leave. We don't want to have to put arrows in you from those windows. I don't want to have to put this dagger in your throat. But we will.
He turns to look up where the person was pointed. Sure enough, he'll see...
There's two bows pointed at you from windows, yeah.
And he looks at the other side.
That's the outer wall of the city, so that's safe.
That's safe, great.
That's where the blood-soaked rose is. They do see you look at it, and they nod.
And he looks back at them, smiles quite widely. I apologize for inconveniencing you. If it's all the same to you, I will be on my way.
And what do you do then?
He turns on his heels and walks back.
They let you leave. They're not bloodthirsty. Yeah. They just want you out of here.
No, it's good. He got what he wanted, which was a sense of how the others will begin reacting to outsiders now. At this point, we've only seen that they have stood idly by while this creature has done all the brunt work. But now he's getting a sense of, no, they're getting bolder, they're getting more encouraged, and they will show force. And that is useful information in itself.
That is a good deduction of the situation, yeah. That things are growing.
Yeah.
Yes. So you leave the alleyway?
Yeah. And he'll start to slowly make his way back out of there entirely.
So, do you meet Eve back at your lodgings?
I presume so.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's where you'd plan to meet up.
I feel we would have made arrangements to meet at some point in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so you've done your alchemy, your shopping, you have your oil ready.
That's right.
And you've done your reconnaissance. And so away from the cold, inside the warehouse, behind the canvas you've erected, you can have your conference.
Right, well, I've got some oil for my blade. It's not much. I'll have to apply it before we fight, but it'll cut down that vampire something quick.
We may have a second issue that has arisen. The people within that place in question have become more bold over the past few days, and it might so be the case that, sure, we may go in there, and we may fight this Katakan, but that may not be the only adversary we have.
What, are you talking about the elves?
They were ready to throw down with myself, right there in the middle of the street, and they were going to come clean on that.
Because you're a Duan, and they don't like you. I don't see what the issue is. Isn't that the way things normally are?
Usually that's the Scoia'tael who are particularly violent to non-elves and other groups. Most of us tend to keep and mind our own business. We try not to start fights.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, I was not even going to be enabled to look inside the street in question. Bryok, on the other hand, had quite a busy time.
Did you manage to get in there?
I did, yeah. I mean, Pat's the red arm band that's now been taken off because he's in the trade district.
Yes,
so
you don't want to be seen with that. Yeah.
Pulls that up and says, so they seem to be rallying around an elven male named Varley, and he's a revolutionary from the old Vizima and the previous uprising, and seems to be rallying again. I think we both saw there's a big flower, a big rose, a bleeding rose, a bloody rose on the wall, which does seem to be kind of like the rallying object that people are getting behind, and it does seem like it's a bit of a time for a revolution, is the intention.
Did you get any sort of indication on when that might be?
No, not really. They did tell me to meet back in 2 days, and so I can. My feeling is that they are, as Tess described, the creature had red on it.
That's right.
So I suspect they're probably interlinked, but I'm not quite sure.
That's my question, because a revolution, that's hardly monsters. That's just trouble between, people living around. But how's this Karakan linked in?
Well, the problem is we're not going to know that unless we go meet it personally, but that is also going to invite the wrath of those within. I don't think it's just going to be a matter of finding the monster and killing the monster.
It never is, unfortunately.
Witcher, if it never is, what do you think is the best course of action? Or, sir, do you have a suggestion?
I don't rightly know.
We don't get paid without getting rid of it.
We need to cut down this Karakan. I don't care about an uprising. Like I said, it's like a fox in a chicken house. Hen house. Sorry. It's like a fox in a hen house. This thing's going to keep feeding on people until it won't ever be satisfied.
Well, I think it'll feed on humans.
That's right. But it'll keep feeding until it needs to feed on something else. Either way, I need to cut this thing down quick. That'll get us in favour with the Duke, and hopefully that will get us closer to Razim.
Well, we could always persuade a human in question to go back and try and exact revenge. I don't know about you, but he's basically thinking, where do you think those two courageous officers would be currently?
Well, they said they had to up the patrol down Serpent Street. They might be back. I don't know if it'll strike twice in the same place, but are you saying if we use them as bait?
I wouldn't particularly miss Yawn or whatever the hell the other one was called.
Victor.
Perhaps we find a way to ply them with drinks, get them a little bit loose, a little bit bold, a little bit brave, and send them in lamb for the slaughter.
Are we not quite sure that the elves would just fill them with arrows?
What, the guards?
Yeah.
Well, the last time they were there, they allowed the creature to do the work for them.
It's night time. They might stick to themselves, letting the guards do their patrols.
Well, if they're drunk and easy target, I noticed that I don't have my coin pouch on me anymore since going down to those streets, so they seem to be willing to pick on anyone, even in the day. Desperate people, desperate times, and if the guards are drunk, the armour would sell for enough.
Right, so we get some lambs, leave them out as bait, and hope that the Karakan comes back.
And we don't get them drunk, because that would be too easy a bait.
Fair enough.
Is that your thinking? Because otherwise they just get picked off by anyone.
Well, I think your suggestion, Sean, is that hopefully it will slow down the vampire.
Yes, that's exactly the point. Yeah, I want to get them drunk and they'll be bolder and they'll just barrage their way and maybe get the attention of the vampire in question.
They might fight back when the Karakan approaches, which means that there will be a bit of a scuffle.
I'm just saying I don't think they'll reach it to the Karakan. They won't even reach it to Serpent Street. They'll get ambushed by a bunch of elves who'll just pick their armour.
In which case, the elves will be
Someone can make
distracted
a deduction for me?
Sure. 16 for me.
17.
too. 16.
Okay, so you're all pretty much on the same page. So you can maybe surmise amongst yourselves. Chris, you're kind of in the right area. I think that as they grow bold, they might be more willing to take direct action. But the direct action they're willing to take against individuals in civilian garb, and how they might act against soldiers wearing the Duke's colours for Temeria might be different.
Sure.
So they might not cut someone down in the street if they're an official guard.
This is why they thought that it was interesting that they left the guards and allowed the external force to come in and
This
rip
is
the
something you
shreds.
hinted at, yeah.
Yes.
Because the reason I let you roll deduction for that is you had already hinted at that you felt that at night they were letting the Catacon kind of
do the work.
do
and-
the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Which is it's a possibility that might be the case.
I'm just thinking if they were drunk, that's a pretty easy excuse for them to get away with it, right?
Well, that's true too, yeah.
Yeah.
They
You
might
know.
just come across of them being aggressive, though.
Yeah.
Which may give them even a wider berth.
I can't tell you exactly what to do with that information. I can't tell you exactly which of those things is true.
Yeah.
It's a pretty volatile situation there,
Yeah,
as
too many-
you can
too
tell.
many moving
There's a
parts.
lot of variables.
We're
yeah.
relying on two people getting drunk and sending them down
Yes. Well,
into an area
there will
where
be-
there are domestic terrorists.
Yes, and there are also more official patrols that will be going out
Yes.
as well tonight.
Doesn't matter to me whether they're drunk or not. The idea is for me to get in before it's sucked too much of their blood. Them alone should act as bait for the Catacon. Them or whoever has to do their patrols down the alleyway.
I mean, I'm a charming person. I can apply some drinks into someone's all I'm saying. So it'll also be a fun scene for Sean to do.
Right, well, if you want to spend your coin wasting it down the gullets of two guards, then be my guest. But I just need those guards to go in, act as bait, and we'll be prepped and ready. Rather, I should say.
And when would you like to do that?
Well, it likes to feed at night. And
It's better to do it sooner than because we know something's going down in 2 days' time.
plus,
Better
we
to do
need
it
to
sooner
get
than
our
later.
payment.
Well, Sean, the sun is beginning to go down, and you're feeling a very familiar itch at the moment. A certain welling inside of you
Yeah.
that you will need to take action to quell tonight.
Yes.
Otherwise, you know what happens.
Exactly. And we go, look, the sooner we do it, the better we get this eradicated, the more we get more coin, then we get our audience, the person in question.
I agree.
So I say, we break, we prepare, we meet back here in an hour, and then we sort out our plan, and we get it done.
Okay.
Prepare
you
your
realize
spells.
that's happening tonight, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what he's saying.
Okay.
We break for an hour, we prepare, we get everything, meet back here, and then we go out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
The thing that's happening to you is happening tonight.
Yes, no, he's well
Okay,
aware.
good. Okay.
Yes, yes.
just in case.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This is why we're spending an hour apart.
Okay. Sure.
I have no idea what's happening.
Okay. Good.
Nor do I.
Good. You're not meant to. You're not meant to. It's okay.
I'm in danger.
Our mage is also a vampire.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Oh wait,
So,
no one's paying me for him. Fuck.
do you want to keep it a secret?
We can explain what we do in an hour. Like we can do individually and just say what we do with the hour that we've got to ourselves.
Yeah, but do you want these two to leave so that you can
Yeah, do you want us to
keep
cover
a
our
secret?
Yeah,
you can
let's do
keep it
that.
a secret, but give it to the audience.
Let's
yes,
do that.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
do you two want to get out of here,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
Get out.
Yeah, right.
We're leaving the studio.
Sean loves having character secrets.
Oh, that's
It's
so fun.
great. Great. Bye.
Love you. So yeah,
If you don't do anything, so let's be explicit, shall we, Sean?
Yes. So a couple of about 10 years ago, he has hinted at this before that he did have a confrontation with Razine,
Yes.
the unregistered mage that he is tracking at this point. He did not realize the power that this mage holds, and in the ensuing battle,
Well, this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So Razine has a tendency to gather people to her and use them as fodder, as tools,
Pawns.
as pawns. And in this particular instance, when you had tracked her down, she had gathered followers around her. And you, Aurelius, in his single-minded rage, slaughtered them.
Yes.
Yes.
Which puts him in is anything that gets him to his purpose, irrespective of who you are or what you're doing.
And this is something you hadn't anticipated, is that Rosine, using her power, twisted that rage, that violence, that single bloody minded focus on vengeance, and turned it inward against you and unleashed a beast inside you. Aurelius is a lycanthrope, cursed, not by the full moon, but by his hunger, his more base instincts for violence, for vengeance, for inflicting terror on others. And every so often, especially when potential violence is on the horizon or he gets closer to Rosine, it grows. The potential for him to transform grows overnight. And you have some sort of...
Yeah, he's been cursed by choice for the better part of 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
By the choices that led for him to be cursed, and by the choice he has to make quite often on whether to quell this or whether to gamble. And he does have a Dimaterium collar.
Yes.
Which he's able to hide underneath his gambazon, which he usually wears. And so he finds him when we break and the Witcher goes off to prepare her alchemicals, and potentially Bryok goes to gather dinner, he'll find himself alone within their little corded off section. And he goes over and pulls out of his robe the collar. And he stares at it, and he knows he has to make a very important choice.
Because while you wear the collar, you cannot use magic.
Yes.
It suppresses all magic from what it touches, which will prevent your transformation, but also prevent you casting, using your power.
Does he know that he definitely will turn tonight, or that it's possible he will turn tonight?
You're turning tonight.
He'll look at it. He'll even take a look outside at the moon.
That makes it worse.
Yeah.
Looking at the moon, you just...
yeah, and he feels that he
makes your
quickly
head swim.
And he quickly jumps back, and he just goes, oh, fuck. And he begrudgingly puts it on.
It burns.
And
itches. It makes you feel nauseous.
And it's a very familiar sting, a familiar price that he has to pay. And he pulls the collar back up to hide it. He pats his dagger to make sure it's still there, and he prays that he can get away with just that.
No fire magic for the others tonight.
No.
Roll to Cast The Blood-Soaked Rose is a Baby Beard Media production. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. All our podcasts are on Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, and all good podcatchers. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/babybeard. The Witcher tabletop role-playing game is property of our Talsorian Games, used with permission.